Some watches are expensive, some watches are rare, but a few watches live in a different universe. You can have the money wired, you can know the boutique owner, you can own a mansion, a jet, and a garage full of supercars, and still be told the same thing. No, because at the very top of watch collecting, money is only the first test. The real barriers are allocation, history, relationships, production numbers, and sometimes the simple fact that only one example exists. Today, we're counting down 10 watches you cannot just buy, even if you're rich. And the higher we go, the more obvious it becomes. In this world, the most powerful currency is not cash. It's access. And this is the key point most new collectors miss. These pieces are not rare in the same way a sold-out sneaker is rare. A sold-out product can come back. A hot release can be restocked. But these watches are controlled by systems that do not care how badly you want them. Some were made in tiny numbers. Some were promised before the public even saw them. Some were created for one person, one charity auction, or one exact moment in history. So if a watch like this appears, you are not just competing with other buyers. You are competing with collectors who have spent decades building relationships before you even knew the reference existed. That is why this list is not really about price tags. It is about power, access, and the invisible rules behind the most guarded corners of watch collecting. Number 10. Rolex Daytona Le Mans, reference 126529LN. On paper, this is a white gold Daytona. In reality, it is one of the most frustrating modern Rolex watches ever released. Rolex created it to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, giving it a reverse panda dial, a black ceramic bezel, and one tiny detail collectors obsessed over immediately: the number 100 in red on the tachymeter scale. It looked like a collector's dream from day one. Then Rolex did the most Rolex thing possible. It disappeared. The watch was released in 2023 and discontinued after an extremely short run, making it one of the shortest-lived modern Rolex references. That means, even if you had the money, you needed timing, status, and an authorized dealer relationship before most people even realized the game had started. Today, buying one is not about walking into a store. It is about finding someone important enough to have received one, then convincing them to let it go. Number 9. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Concept Black Panther Flying Tourbillon. This watch divided the entire watch world. Some people called it brilliant. Some people called it ridiculous. But everyone paid attention. Audemars Piguet made only 250 pieces, using a titanium Royal Oak concept case, a flying tourbillon, and a hand-finished white gold Black Panther figure on the dial. It was the first major AP collaboration with Marvel, which made it more than a watch. It became a cultural object, and that is why it was almost impossible to buy. AP does not hand pieces like this to random wealthy buyers. Limited editions move through relationships, purchase history, and brand access. You needed to be the right client at the right moment with the right profile. Having the money was not enough. In fact, it may have been the least impressive part of the application. Number 8. FP Journe Chronometer Bleu. This is the quiet killer on the list. No diamonds, no superhero on the dial, no wild case shape. Just a tantalum case, a blue dial, and one of the most respected independent watchmakers alive. The Chronometer Bleu became the gateway drug into FP Journe. At first, it was the relatively approachable way into the brand. Then collectors realized what it was: a beautiful, wearable, independent watch from a maker with very limited production. Demand exploded, waitlists became fantasy, and availability tightened to the point where the phrase, "just buy one," stopped making sense. This is the kind of watch that proves scarcity does not need to be loud. It can be elegant, it can be simple, and it can still be almost impossible to get at retail. Number 7. Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711 Tiffany Blue. This might be the most famous modern unobtainable watch. Patek Philippe and Tiffany celebrated their long partnership by creating a special Tiffany Blue version of the Nautilus 5711. Production was limited to just 170 pieces. That number alone made it brutal. But the real story was distribution. These watches were never normal retail products for normal rich people. They were allocated through an almost invisible web of brand relationships, Tiffany connections, collector status, and global demand. The retail price was high, but almost irrelevant. The first public auction example sold for millions, instantly turning the watch into a symbol of modern collector insanity. And because the standard 5711 was already being discontinued, this became the final boss version of a watch people were already desperate to own. This was not a watch you bought. This was a watch you were chosen for. Number 6. Patek Philippe Nautilus Perpetual Calendar, reference 5740. The Tiffany 5711 gets more attention, but the 5740 is a different kind of impossible. It takes the Nautilus platform and adds a perpetual calendar, one of Patek Philippe's signature complications. That means it sits at the intersection of three powerful forces: the Nautilus hype machine, Patek complication prestige, and extremely limited allocation. Even regular Nautilus models can be difficult to access, but a complicated Nautilus is another level. Boutiques do not simply sell these to first-time buyers because they ask nicely. The brand wants to know who gets the watch. A serious client history matters. Long-term loyalty matters. And the ability to pay retail is only the minimum requirement. This is what makes the 5740 so interesting. It is technically still a catalog watch in certain configurations, but for most people it might as well be behind glass in a museum. Number 5. Philippe Dufour Simplicity. The name sounds modest. The watch is anything but. Philippe Dufour is one of the greatest living independent watchmakers, and the Simplicity is his most famous wristwatch. It does not win with shock value. It wins with hand finishing so good that even other watchmakers study it. The production numbers were tiny. Dufour made only a few hundred examples, and each one represents a level of manual craft that cannot be scaled like a mainstream luxury watch. That is the entire point. A Simplicity is not rare because a marketing department wanted scarcity. It is rare because one man could only make so many. Today, collectors who own one rarely need to sell. And when one appears, it enters an arena where taste, money, and obsession collide. For most people, it is not a purchase. It is a once-in-a-lifetime sighting. Number 4. Richard Mille, RMUP01 Ferrari. Richard Mille is already difficult for normal people to buy, but the RMUP01 Ferrari pushes that difficulty into absurd territory. This watch was created as an ultra-thin technical statement, measuring around 1.75 millimeters thick. It was limited to 150 pieces, and because it carried both Richard Mille and Ferrari on the same object, it immediately became more than a watch. It became a flex for people who already live in the world of private allocations. The price was extreme. But again, price was not the only gate. Richard Mille boutiques do not need random buyers. They have global demand, elite clients, and a brand universe built around access. If you were not already inside that universe, the watch might as well have been. Fictional. Number 3. Vacheron Constantin Le Cabinotier Solaria Ultra Grand Complication. This is where watches stop being products and become projects. Vacheron Constantin's Le Cabinotier department creates one-of-a-kind masterpieces for the highest level of collectors. The Solaria Ultra Grand Complication is a perfect example. It has been described by Vacheron as a record-setting wristwatch with 41 complications and more than 1,500 components. It took years to develop, and it exists as a singular expression of what the manufacturer can do. You do not walk in and ask for one. You do not browse it online and add it to cart. At this level, the client relationship comes first, then the commission, then the watch. And if the piece is unique, there is no second chance. Someone owns it. Everyone else studies the photographs. Number 2. Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime, reference 6300A, only watch. This is one of the most famous auction watches ever made. Patek created a unique stainless steel Grandmaster chime for only watch in 2019. That matters because the Grandmaster chime is already one of Patek's most complicated wristwatches, with 20 complications and a reversible case. But this version was different. It was the only one in stainless steel. And when it sold for 31 million Swiss francs, it became the most expensive wristwatch ever sold at auction. This is the definition of unobtainable. Not because it is merely expensive, not because there is a waitlist, but because there is one. One watch, one buyer, one moment in auction history. After the hammer fell, the game ended. Number 1. Rolex Daytona, owned by Paul Newman. This is the watch that changed everything. Not a model like Paul Newman's Daytona. The actual Daytona owned by Paul Newman. The watch his wife gave him. The watch he wore. The watch that became the myth behind one of the most important vintage Rolex collecting categories in the world. When it sold at Philips in 2017 for over $17 million, it rewrote the psychology of the entire market. But here is why it sits at number 1. There are rare watches. There are expensive watches. There are watches with tiny production numbers. Then there are watches with irreplaceable human stories. You can buy another Daytona. You can buy another exotic dial. You can even buy another celebrity-owned watch. But you cannot buy this combination of object, owner, history, image, and myth unless the current owner decides the story is ready to move again. That is the ultimate barrier, not price, provenance. And provenance cannot be manufactured. So the next time someone says every watch has a price, remember this list. At the top of the market, money opens the door, but it does not get you invited inside. The real currency is relationship, timing, rarity, and story. Some watches are sold, some watches are allocated, and some watches are simply out of reach, even if you're rich.